Today we're going to look at a couple of different cell phone accessories. So let's start with the Smooth 4, and then we're going to look at the Gimbal 2, and we need a magic arm to make all this stuff work because we've got a bracket for the Smooth 4, and then we've got a little tiny Sacani video light that's designed for cell phones, and then we got this funky clip-on telephoto lens that's supposed to be Amazon's cheapest and best lens. Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and open up the Smooth 4 here just so you can see what you get. Basically, this comes in a weird styrofoam case. So, kind of off-putting at first. Now, just so you know, I had the Smooth 3 before this, and the Smooth 3 was a very rugged tripod. This one, not so rugged. It's kind of plasticky on the handle, and pretty much has the same motors in it, but not actually all that exciting. Charges via cell phone cable. This is a USB-C cable, and yeah, this is everything that it comes with. A little stand, which is handy, and so we'll go ahead and set this one up. And with the legs on there, that is pretty much what you get. But let's talk about how this thing works. I decided to give June the benefit of the doubt because I love the Crane 2 so much, and I actually waited a couple of months to do this review. And you can see all the buttons on this thing. The controls are actually kind of wild. The biggest problem is their app has 3 different modes: a Pro mode, a normal mode, and a simple mode. And none of these buttons work in simple mode. And in normal mode, only a few of them work. And in Pro mode, everything works. But unfortunately, in that mode, my camera doesn't really autofocus that well. So that was kind of an issue. And I guess it's an issue with maybe phase detection on my LG V30. Really kind of unusual. But the controls on this are buried layer after layer, so it's not exactly easy to find everything. I mean, just trying to find the different modes, it's pretty buried. So here you go. So we have normal, simple, and Pro. So when I switch it over to Pro, it turns out that all the buttons now totally work, but the second you start recording, you lose focus. So not so good. And the dial on this thing actually only controls zoom. At some point I did actually find a section where I was able to manual focus, but I haven't been able to find that section again. So that is a little tricky. And this gimbal, if you're not used to it, is really kind of confusing. But for iPhone users, from what I understand, on iOS this thing gives you full functionality, so it's probably a lot better suited towards iPhone users. But the problem is they claim that it works on Android, and they really shouldn't because their app is way far behind. Other issues I found were in simple mode it would actually autofocus, but I could only shoot 1080p, and in normal mode I could shoot 4K, but then it wouldn't autofocus. And if I actually flipped to the front-facing camera for vlogging, then everything seemed to work fine. So on Android phones it actually works fine for vlogging, but I can't get it to work for anything else, including just getting these buttons to react to anything. So yeah, really kind of annoying. The other issue would be instead of using a traditional 4-way button, it uses a switch on the back, and you have to kind of cast it into position, which is really unusual. But once you get used to how it works, it's not so bad, but it doesn't give you the freedom of smooth movement like you do with the other one. But if you want to change the angle of what your camera is doing, you hold down the bottom button, and that'll allow you to tilt it down. And then you're tilted down. You hold it up and then pull it back, and then it goes up. So it's really weird how this gimbal works. Not really a fan of it. Hey, why are you so bitchy?
Get the fuck out of my face now!
Paparazzi. This gimbal is weird. Whoa, Bob, hi. Alright, let's look at the Gimbal 2. And this setup is a little different. It costs a few dollars less than the other one. And it comes with actually what's kind of a nice case. This is a very unusual case. Let me see if I can get it up here really close. So it looks like it's almost made out of this weird kind of cardboard material, but yet it feels like vinyl. It's very strange, but I like the case. So let me go ahead and open this up here. So you get the same thing here. You get the Tech tripod legs, a little wrist strap in case you feel like you're going to drop it. Then in here you have the manual, another little warranty card, and your USB cable. And this one is a traditional kind of Android USB cable, so it's not quite USB-C, it's the older one. Charging time on these are about the same. They both take about an hour to charge, something like that. And they hold the charge for a really long time. They both seem to hold the charge for about the same amount of time. But this is what this one looks like. And this is more traditional, but the one feature it has that others don't are the telescoping body. And I really kind of like that. I think it's kind of cool. So we'll show this in use. So anyway, let's go play with it. So the one thing that's odd about the Gimbal 2 is the sound that it makes when you're starting it up. And it also makes that same sound when you're turning it off. The app with the Gimbal 2, it's equally as bad. To record on here takes a long press. And that's the thing that's weird about it, is the record button's right here. And it also takes a long press to shut it off. Now the thing that's kind of screwy about this is with this record button right here, I'm recording right now as you can see, but then it'll take a photo, which is odd. So I don't know why it does that, and it does that while you're recording. So, you know, at least you can capture a photo while you're recording, I guess. But anyway, in selfie mode, this thing seems to actually work fine. You can adjust your white balance, your exposure, but the video still isn't as good as it is if you're using the regular video app. But the thing I like about this device is it's not really that tied into anything else. You know, you have your telephoto and your wide, but really all you're doing is zooming into your video. And when you're doing that, it doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference. You can do that in post, so that button's pretty much irrelevant to me. But the only other buttons that you have on here are your back button over here, and then your adjustment button to adjust the gimbal to wherever you want it to be. Overall, I find this one to work a lot better. One thing I like about this versus the other one is if you grab it right here at the neck, you can extend it and then have a longer reach. So to me, this is like more of a major advantage. It's easier to use. It's not nearly built as well as the Zhone Smooth 4, but you know, on its own, it's very unique, and it's light and comfortable. So you know, at least this works with my default app. So that part I like. The actual app on here, it does work. It's not great. It doesn't allow you to break into the functionality of everything, but at least when I'm using my forward video, it does actually record and focus fine. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Oh my god!
I ended up walking directly into my Canon 5DS, knocking it on the floor. Luckily, the only thing that was hurt was my pride, and it just goes to show you, never annoy Bob. We also had to pry out the cable release because that hit the floor first, which probably saved the camera, so the camera turned out to be okay, but my assistant probably thinks I'm a total idiot. After doing some research on my LG V30, I discovered that it has autofocus issues with not only these two gimbals, but with Filmic Pro. And Filmic Pro really ties in to these gimbals really well. I mean, it really ties in with the Smooth 4. But unfortunately, my phone doesn't really get full support out of it because there's still an autofocusing problem. And I think it has a lot to do with the phase detection on the phone. Nobody really knows how to make that work. But anyway, hopefully there'll be support for it in the future. This takes us down to our Sacani video light, and this is the X21, and it has 21 LEDs on it. It's CRI 97 rated, so it's supposed to be very accurate color. Comes with a soft diffuser, and then it also comes with a warm diffuser right here if you're in a situation where you're shooting under warm light. These are all magnet too, which is actually kind of nice. Charges via USB cable, standard Android phone jack type cable, and comes with a little mount to mount on top of your DSLR camera, and charging cable, case, box, and instructions. Now they claim this is 2400 lumens at something like 3 meters, or maybe that's 2400 lux. All I know is this thing is bright, and at full power you get 45 minutes of shooting time. But realistically, if you're doing selfie stuff, you want this at 20%. And at 20% you get like 4 hours. And it's actually a lot of light. This is a very impressive little light, and it's so tiny. I mean, it's the size of my wallet. I can't believe it. But anyway, the nice thing about this is that I thought I got this and it would be kind of like one of those little kitschy kind of things. I use this everywhere. I use it for working on my car because it's so small. So yeah, love that thing. I just noticed when I was getting ready to put this away that this came with a gel kit. I didn't even realize it, and there's like a bazillion different gels in here. So red, blue, orange, yellow, all kinds of stuff. So green, yeah, sweet. I haven't even played with those yet. Just discovered they were in the box. I didn't even notice them. So each shot on Amazon makes this little bracket specifically for the Smooth 4. And basically this gives you the ability to use a hot shoe microphone or quarter 20 mounts. And right now we're going to try some quarter 20 mounts with an actual little video light. Now I also mentioned in the beginning that we want to use the Pangshi Magic Arm. So here's the setup. I've got the each shot bracket mounted to the Smooth 4 with the Pangshi Magic Arm and the Sacani light. Now this setup is pretty ideal on here. I just wish it could work on the Gimbal 2. Unfortunately, the Magic Arm on the Gimbal 2 is just a little too heavy when it's extended, and I really wish I could find a lighter bracket for it. Unfortunately, this bracket does not fit that gimbal, just this one. This is me in a barely ambient lit part of the room, and all I've got is this Sacani fill light on me right now at 15%. You can see the reflection in my artwork behind me, and that's how bright it is. This does not hurt my eyes at all. I could do this for a while. So this is actually, you know, a pretty good solution for getting video that's not connected to your phone but on a gimbal. And as you can see, I can move it around. If you look in the reflection, you know, you'll see it kind of moving back there. And as a matter of fact, I'll go back into the bathroom, into the mirror, so you can see it in there. So hold on one second. There's that ambient light coming in. But this is pretty damn dark. So here you go. This is the mirror. So you can see there's not a whole lot of light coming in, and you see the noise around me, so the cell phone's definitely compensating. But this being at 15%, I think actually does work really well. And you can flip this to either side or position it however you want, but typically the problem with doing lights on gimbals is that usually they're below the camera. Now, optimal light needs to be above it to make it look more natural. Otherwise, and if it was down here, let me just move it. You know, if I put it below the lens, Then all of a sudden it looks like I'm spooky. I'm coming to your house for dinner. This is the ultra fancy Amazon clip-on zoom lens. This is an 8x lens, complete with crappy caps and the little clip to stick on your phone, and yeah, super high quality. It's an 8x. I didn't want to get anything too long, simply because I was hearing bad things about the ultra telephotos. So I got the shortest one that I could find, which was 8x, and this is still pretty damn long. Now it's this high quality ABS plastic construction with a standard clip. Yeah, super high tech. I imagine the lens elements in this are actually probably just polycarbonate. I doubt they're actually glass. But let's see what this thing is like. Just look at that silky barrel distortion. Talk about pincushion. This is a painting that's actually 24 by 36. And look at what it's doing to it. It's crazy. I mean, it just jiggles like jello. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's like they're actually swimming. Alright, there you go. Now I have it on a tripod mount, and yeah, just barrel distortion. Although it is actually surprisingly sharp. I don't know, all I see is pincushion barrel distortion, but it's kind of sharp where it's focusing in, and it's still using the camera's autofocus at a certain point. So if I turn it over here, you'll see it focuses in on the robot's arm in the window. And then if I turn it back to the truck outside, you'll see it focuses back out there. So without the lens, and then if I put this back on, but if you're going to spy on your girlfriend or your boyfriend or somebody that you're stalking, I'm sure it's fine for that. So just to recap, the Smooth 4, weird one button movement really bothers me. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but if you're an iPhone user and you take some time to get used to it, it may work okay. Stabilization wise, between these two, they're about the same. The Gimbal 2 I like more, obviously because it extends, and I think that's actually just a really cool feature. The Sacani video light. This thing is simple and it's awesome and it's easy to throw into any bag. I don't see why you wouldn't just want this just as a light, even for a DSLR. Using this as just a secondary light or a little key light actually works pretty well. So I love this thing. And you know, when you're using this, I discovered that 20% is all you need for power-wise when you're shooting yourself. So that's actually pretty good. The clamp for the Zhun Smooth 4. It's actually pretty good. So there's a link in the description for that along with this other stuff. The magic arm. So using the magic arm, I only threw it in there just simply so I could clamp the video light on, just to see if I could make a setup. It works okay, but this is really a little too heavy. I gotta find something lighter. Now, this thing, our little telephoto lens. This sucks. I don't know how anybody ever thought that those would actually be good for anything, but majorly disappointing. I mean, talk about gimmicky. That's as gimmicky as you can get. So anyway, I hope you guys like this review. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel for more information like this, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.